I had a question from Arlene last week, and it said, is it possible that my alcoholism progressed because of an unstable mind and a lack of emotional intelligence? Very heavy question. So that there's a lot of predisposing factors to alcoholism and drug addiction. It can be biological, it can be psychological, it can be social, and it can also be spiritual. So that this question covers a very wide area. So that, yes, it is not that anyone with an unstable mind has to become dependent on alcohol or any other drugs, but it is quite likely because, from my experience, a lot of people they start using it, of course, out of curiosity, and then they start using it recreationally, and then they find what we call utilitarian purposes for the drugs. And for people who have become dependent, who are what you call self-medicating with drug, that is to say, when they feel depressed, instability can present itself as depression or anxiety or irritability or feeling overwhelmed, inability to control our emotions. These all lead to a certain level of psychological instability. Then a person who might have started using alcohol recreationally find, well, hey, when I take a drink, or I could take a drink and it can stabilize my mood. And this is why sometimes psychotropic drugs, that is, drugs that are used to treat psychiatric conditions, are also referred to as mood altering substances because, yes, they can change your mood from being depressed, irritable, angry, and sometimes too, the alcoholism and drug addiction is often changed with emotional, described as an emotional illness. So that emotions really are related to the state of mind. And our mind could be affected by not only what is inside our thoughts and all of that, but can also be affected by our social situation, our physical situation, the state of our body as well. If we are not well, if we are going through health challenges, all of these affect the mind because you can't have a strong mind in a weak body. In the school that I went to, as Devi Hindu School, we had a sign at the entrance to the school that said in Latin, mens sane in corpore sano, means a strong mind in a strong body. So yes, the body and the mind are very good friends. They were born together. And what affects the body will affect the mind. So that if we are going to, so to in answer directly to that question is that yes, a lot of people who, let me put it this way, normal people who are not dependent on drugs, if they have to deal with things that makes them feel depressed or angry or overwhelmed or sad, they would have developed normal, so-called normal coping skills to deal with that. They would talk to someone, they will probably pray about it, they will listen to music. A lot of people have, some would go to the gym, will have a lot of ways to help them to cope with normal human emotions because we all go through periods of experiences that challenges us, makes us feel stressed. And in that respect, stress is not such a bad thing. All human beings feel stress because stress is what propels us to do something about our life situation. Otherwise, we become complacent. So, yes, instability in this sense could lead to a person becoming dependent on drug. So I know I could speak more on this, but I want to go to some of the other questions that were asked. So I'll go. I know that some members are in recovery have also asked some questions. And I want to go to a little case history that was sent to me describing a situation that a person is experiencing. And I'll read it, what they sent. The person says that my father used to drink only on weekends, but lately he started to drink after work and come home drunk. He used to be a quiet man, but now he gets ignorant and violent. He recently he started to smash up things like doors, windows, and louvers. The next day he says that he cannot remember anything. He has changed from an honest man to a liar. We are confused and embarrassed, and I especially appreciate this little description because it covers so many different aspects of alcoholism and drug addiction, especially alcoholism here. Because being a father, he would have probably been more than around about 35, 40, and so on. And that's the mean age for alcoholism, when most people transition from social drinking into alcoholism. It's estimated to be in Trinidad and Tobago at age 35. So, and this person would have started drinking occasionally and then start drinking on weekend. And I could identify because this is exactly how I used to drink. Eventually, I started from just drinking for Christmas, then drinking when I started to work on month ends. And then I was drinking on weekends. I had nothing to do and I enjoyed it. And um and then it started to progress to every day, almost every day at work, after work, and then it would reach to even going to work. So when you say alcoholism is a progressive illness, this is one aspect of it. It progresses in terms of amount and frequency. So the person who was drinking occasionally when there was an occasion, a birthday party, a Christmas, and so on, is now drinking every month, then every weekend, and then every evening, and it will not stop there. Once the person continues to drink, that is the person who will eventually reach to the point where they have to be taking a drink first thing in the morning because now they're having the shakes. In order to sign the attendance register. And then if they lose their job, well, they have all the time in the world and all the worries to justify their drinking now and nothing to do and plenty time in which to do it. And that is a prescription for uh, a deep progression into the disease of alcoholism. And then he described being a quiet man. There are some people, alcoholics, there are different kinds of alcoholics. There are those who, when they drink, they become very rowdy. And I'm sure our listeners, some of you know some people like that. Otherwise they're quiet, they're easygoing. But when they start to drink, wow, you can't stop them from talking. You can't disagree with them. They become very aggressive. You can't get a word in with them edgewise. But then there are those who would drink and come home and sleep. And I've heard a lot of wives come and say, but my husband don't give any trouble. He just drink. But he don't give trouble. When he come home, he just go and sleep. But that only lasts a little while. Eventually that fellow will start misbehaving as well at some point in time when the alcoholism progress. So now he has started to come home and behave very ignorant. That is, he's very aggressive, he's intolerant, he's smashing up things, because a lot of people are able to handle their emotions when they're sober. They know that it would be inappropriate to behave in a certain way, that it would be offensive, that they will get themselves into trouble. But one of the things that alcohol does, it relieves the inhibitions. So the fellow who is quiet, otherwise, when he drinks, as I said, he becomes very rowdy, boisterous, and aggressive. And so eventually, if you disagree with him or you challenge him or you try to reason with him, it can become violent and abusive, And this is when you start seeing that other side because there is no restraint there. There is it's like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. When he's sober, you know, he's a very quiet and peaceful guy. But when he drinks, there's a complete transformation of the person. And now he's very ignorant and very violent. And the person is saying that now he started to smash up things around the house because he's taking out his anger, his aggression on inanimate things, the chair and the table and all of that, because he can't contain his emotions anymore. He's not in control of himself, physically and emotionally and psychologically. You see that. And so that, um, he would, and the problem is next day he would swear to God, he don't remember doing any of it. And the people around him are amazed because, I mean, how they have seen the children and the wife, especially, and the parents and siblings are seeing a complete transformation of a person who used to be very responsible, very charming, and patient and gentle. Who is this person now? What has he become? And then he himself can't believe in his sober moments that he would have done or said the things that he's being accused of saying. He cursed up people he would have normally respected and so on. He abused the neighbors and dealt their house, and he knew that's not him. And he's not, and people who do not understand alcoholism can't understand that. I mean, in face of all the evidence is there, how can he be denying it? But they do not understand that there's a condition called blackout. When a person who has been drinking for a long period of time, the alcohol start progressing to the point where it starts damaging the brain. And what will happen is they reach to a point in drinking where they can't remember the next day what happened. Mind you, while they're doing it, they have memory. They are intact, but the next day they can't remember anything. It's like, you record something and then you deleted it from your phone or your computer. You can't retrieve it the next day. And he's seeing the chair broken, the table, the glass, the television smashed, and he has no choice but to admit it happened. But in his mind, he don't remember doing it. And not only smashing things. I have listened to other people, and I have had that experience myself of driving all the way from Mayaro to Chabonas and can't remember next day how I did it. And this is the baffling things about alcoholism in particular. So that what this engenders is the next day is a whole lot of fear, because imagine a guy drinking somewhere, and the last thing he remember drinking in Francis' shop, and then he can't remember how he reached home. And he's getting up around 8, 9, he's feeling sick from the hangover, and then he don't know where he is at first. He looks up at the roof and says, wait, yeah, this roof seems familiar. The ceiling, yeah, this is my ceiling. And then he realizes, and he looks around, yeah, this is my bed. And then, okay, I reach home, but how? I wonder where the car is. Now, for people who have not had this experience, it might sound comical, but that's the reality, for the alcoholic who is experiencing blackouts. And then he comes down and he looks at the car and wow, and he feels a sense of relief. The car is in the garage. And then he's looking at it to see, well, the front looks like the grill is all right. And the right side looks good. I wonder if the left side is mashed up, because he doesn't know. And as if that is not bad enough, at another stage, if he continues to drink, he'll go into what is called DTs, delirium tremens, in which the person starts to hallucinate and see and hear things that are not there. And people in that state of DTs, I have actually seen on several occasions, because I work in that field of substance abuse. And outside of treatment facility, I remember going to excursion from south. We were going to Granville, and this guy who had drunk the evening before and was going through withdrawal, he was in the bus, and he actually jumped through the window of the bus that was in movement and ran into a cocoa estate. And the bus stopped, and all the men had to run in there. And when they found him, he was hiding in a cocoa tree and saying how people were coming after him to kill him. He was in DTs. And this is why this program is important, so that our brothers and sisters listening can understand the nature of this disease, because a lot of people in the bus were saying, somebody do him over, somebody put an evil spirit on him. Well, the truth is, yes, but he put the evil spirit on himself by drinking alcohol. Because when you're drinking alcohol, if you've been drinking for a long time, you reach to that point where you, in withdrawal, you will experience hallucinations, you will hear and see things that are not there, you will feel like things crawling on your skin, you will, well, of course, can't remember what happened the night before. And I want to add that there's one case in South where this person actually killed another person while they were in a state of blackout. I will not go into the details. And found themselves in the cell the next day and not knowing how they reached there, and had to be told by the policeman in the charge room that you had killed someone, and that's why you're in here. And I want to say to all those people listening, sometimes a lot of people use their drinking and drug use as an excuse. Well, I was drunk. And people will also say, his family, well, he was drunk and he did not know what he was doing. And as a result, we cut him the slack, we give him that's an alibi. We excuse the behavior. But in law, being in a state of blackout is not a defense. If you kill someone, you would have to stand the consequences of the law. So I'm saying to all our listeners out there that you need to, if everyone who reached to that stage did not reach there overnight. They all started with that first drink, that recreational drink, that one with the boys, and enjoying it. So that the truth is, and I've said this umpteen times in this program, not everybody who drink will become alcoholic. But everybody who drink are placing themselves at risk, because a journey of 1,000 miles does begin with that first step. And I'm saying to all our brothers and sisters out there, if you do not want to go in a certain direction, do not even look in that direction, because a journey of 1,000 miles begins with that first step. Everyone who ever became alcoholic and homeless and vagrant and all of that started just like you are probably right now, as a social drinker, just taking a drink as recreation and so on. Now, as I say that, I am not against anyone who could take a drink and enjoy. There are a lot of people who could do that, and they are social drinkers who may never become alcoholic, may. But again, the reason for this program is that I want everyone out there to listen. And if you have a family history of alcoholism, know that you are at risk of becoming alcoholic, because the same way we inherit our complexion, our ethnicity, our height, our mannerisms from our ancestors, so too we can inherit that propensity, that predisposition to alcoholism. So that you have to be especially careful. And once alcohol or any drug or any habit that you are using is starting to cause problems in your life, whether it be health, relationship, work-related, financial, any problems, and you are aware that it is causing problems, or you have been told that it is causing problems, especially by the people around you who care about you, then you need to stop. Because if you continue, that is a clear sign of addiction. Because if you are eating something that you are allergic to and you realize you are allergic, you'll stop eating that. If you are using something or behaving in adopting a behavior that is causing problems, and once you are aware of it and you continue to do it, you're addicted to it. And that is not only relative to drugs and drug addiction, it is relative to other behaviors like gambling, sexuality, and you name it. So I know this program is divided into, I have a lot of questions in the second half that came in. I would like to respond to them, but we'll take a little break now and we'll come back in a few minutes and we will continue to have this discussion. And of course, remember this program is going to be repeated again tonight at 10 p.m. on Radio and TV Jagriti. It is going to be posted on Facebook and YouTube so that you may be able to access it again. So thank you, and we'll come back in a few minutes.